Good evening and welcome to the regular Glendale Transportation and Parking Commission meeting of August 26, 2024. My name is Marina Gaboyan. I am the clerk of the commission and I would like to read the following statement. For public comments and questions during the meeting, please call 818-937-8100. City staff will be submitting these questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person during this meeting. I will now call this meeting to order. The time is currently 6:04 p.m. Item 1A is roll call. Commissioner Amirian,
Present.
Commissioner Avagian,
Present.
Commissioner Lester,
Here.
Commissioner Ordubegian,
Here.
Chair Bonston, absent. In the absence of Chair Bonston, the Commission must select one of its voting members to act as the Chairperson Pro Tem. I will now entertain nominations for the position of the Chairperson Pro Tem.
May
Sure, yes, go ahead.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Amirian to be the chairperson.
And Commissioner Ordubegian, for clarification, that's the chairperson pro tem for this meeting, correct?
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
A second.
Commissioner Avagian, so in the selection of the chair pro tem, the nomination is sufficient to put Commissioner Amirian's name forth. A second is not required. A vote will be conducted by a calling of the nominated commissioners' names after public comment and commission discussion, if any.
Okay. So,
So he has been nominated.
okay. Thank you for clarification.
Okay, we have two nominations for Commissioners Amirian. I will now take public comments, if any. There are no public comments on this item. We will now turn to commission discussion. Do any commissioners wish to comment upon the nominations?
I'm trying to understand. This nomination is during the absence of the chairperson Bonston, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Having concluded, I will call roll on the selection of the chairperson pro tem. When called upon, please state the name of the commissioner for whom you are voting as chairperson pro tem. Commissioner Amirian,
Myself.
Commissioner Avagian,
Commissioner Amirian,
Commissioner Lester,
Commissioner Amirian.
Commissioner Ordubegian,
Commissioner Amirian.
Commissioner Amirian has been selected to serve as chairperson pro tem. Chair pro tem Commissioner Amirian is the presiding officer until item 4A, the selection of the chairperson of the Transportation and Parking Commission. If no commissioner receives at least 3 votes for the position of chairperson of the Transportation and Parking Commission, Chair pro tem Amirian will serve as presiding officer for the remainder of this meeting.
Excellent. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item 1B is flag salute.
Let's all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item, please.
Item 2 is posting of the agenda. The agenda for the August 26, 2024 regular meeting of the Glendale Transportation and Parking Commission was posted August 22, 2024 before 5 p.m. on the bulletin board outside of City Hall.
Excellent. Thank you. What is the next item?
Item 3 is approval of minutes.
I will entertain any motions regarding the approval of the minutes from July 22nd, 2024.
I'll move.
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Amirian,
Yes.
Commissioner Avagian,
Yes.
Commissioner Lester,
Yes.
Commissioner Ordubegian.
Yes.
Let's move on to the next item, please.
Item 4A is selection of the chairperson of the Transportation and Parking Commission. I will now entertain nominations for the position of chairperson.
Would it be possible to propose an alternative motion?
So there's no motion currently.
Has to be a motion first.
It does not have to be a motion, Commissioner Lester, but so long as the action you're proposing is germane to the selection of the chairperson, you could make a motion that is not the selection of a particular voting member of the commission.
Understood. Thank you. I would be interested in making a motion to continue this item to the next meeting. Our regular chair is absent today, and I feel like it would be strange to proceed on an important selection like this without her present, particularly considering that she is the chair. So I'd be interested in anyone who may support that idea.
Let's say, can I ask a question?
If it's a question for the city attorney, I'm happy to.
Does this
attempt to answer
mean
the
that,
question,
let's say if there's a second, means that we're basically just leaving today and coming back next time to appoint a chairperson again?
That's correct. If there is a second and a majority of the members support the motion, Commissioner Amirian will continue to preside as the chair pro tem for the remainder of this meeting, and the selection of a permanent chair will be agendized for the next regularly scheduled meeting or a special meeting if that is part of the motion.
Can I make a motion of selecting Commissioner Amirian for the chairperson? And I want to thank Commissioner Bonstin for a fantastic and fabulous job that she did. I know she's not present here. For me, it doesn't matter either or, but I think it's, to go back and put it on the next agenda, it's kind of, redundant. She has already served. And if everybody feels that we are capable of selecting somebody else without without due respects to everybody, but I can make a motion to elect Commissioner Amirian to be the chair for Transportation and Parking Committee.
So I believe, Commissioner Ordubegian, that there is a motion on the floor to continue the item. If there is no second to that motion, then the clerk will proceed with calling for nominations. And what I understand your alternative motion to be is a nomination of Commissioner Amirian to be the chair. So the next procedural question is whether there is a second to Commissioner Lester's motion.
I just want to make a comment before saying if I would second this or not. I kind of agree with Commissioner Ordubegian of having this item postponed. Maybe I wouldn't want it, but at the same time, I would like to have opportunity to thank Chairperson Bonstin in person before having another person taking the chair. So that is why, I don't know, I would probably be more for if we maybe postpone it until, but also my question is when is it going to be postponed to? If it's going to be another month, then no. But if we're gonna be, let's say, coming back next week or something, that's also a question that's gonna be important.
So if I may, Commissioner, the next regularly scheduled TPC meeting is October 28th.
October.
But as directed by this, as recommended by the city attorney, you guys, as part of the motion, could direct a special meeting that we can bring back potentially next month.
So there is no way basically to do it next week, for example, a meeting next week.
Yeah, we would have to survey the commissioners to see if they're available. Which, if we get directed to do a special meeting, we'll throw out some potential dates and then ultimately try to land it. But our next regularly scheduled meeting is October 28th.
And Commissioner Avagian, to answer your question from a legal perspective, a special meeting could be called sooner than next month, contingent upon the information that Director Hernandez supplied.
I see. Okay, then no, I
So is my motion, we just need to do a roll call to see if my motion goes through, right?
So Commissioner Ordebagian, the motion on the floor does not have a second, so now we'll proceed as the clerk called for nominations. And I don't want to speak for you, so it's not a motion, it would be stating a nomination by name.
Yes.
I also have a nomination for Commissioner Avagian.
No second.
We have one nomination for Commissioner Amirian and one nomination for Commissioner Avagian. There are no public comments on this item. We will now turn to commission discussion. Do any commissioners wish to comment upon the nominations?
I'll comment. Thank you, first of all. I appreciate it. And hopefully my stunning and brave performance as the Chair Pro Tem for about 2.5 minutes helped convince all of you. Look, I look at the chair position for these commissions through the lens of my experience. I've served as a chair for different commissions for nearly 10 years in my service. And the way I look at the position is simply one that is running an efficient and smooth meeting where all of the commissioners' viewpoints are able to be communicated in a way that is consistent with the commission rules and the laws in place. I don't really see the chair position as one that is really political in any way on any of the commissions. And I also do appreciate Chair Bronstein's her service as the chair. I know that she's been serving now for more than a year, so I'm definitely willing, and I appreciate your confidence. Thank you.
May I make a comment? Honestly, I don't think these titles literally mean anything. I think Commissioner Amirian is more than capable and is an extremely articulate person. So I want to throw my vote for him, and I think he'll do a great job. Thank you.
I'll just make a quick comment. Commissioner Avagian's been on the commission a while, truly well-spoken, has made many comments to help us with our deliberations in a very clear way, I think can communicate well. I'd just like to see her have a chance.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Lester. It's truly actually an honor to serve with all of you on this Transportation and Parking Commission. And I would be happy either way. I agree with Commissioner Amirian that this is not, I don't view it as a political any position either. This is more just making sure that everyone's viewpoint is very clearly communicated with an audience and with everyone else who's part of it or watching us. I don't have an experience in serving as a chairperson of any of the commissions. I would love to have that opportunity, honestly. I've had an opportunity to be part of a lot of projects and boards and council meetings. I've served as a chair of a council, organizational council meeting or different other organizations, but not a commission. I would love to serve as a chairperson, but again, I would be happy either way. So again, thank you very much for the appointment, Commissioner Lester.
Discussion having concluded, I will call roll on the selection of the chairperson. When called upon, please state the name of the commissioner for whom you are voting as chairperson. Commissioner Amirian?
I'll vote for myself, Amirian.
Commissioner Avagian?
I guess I vote for myself either.
Commissioner Lester?
Commissioner Avagian.
Commissioner Ordubegian.
Commissioner Amirian.
Since no commissioner has been selected by majority vote to serve as chairperson, Chair Pro Tem Maria Gaboyan will serve as presiding officer for the remainder of this meeting.
As a point of clarification, Commissioner Mirian, having been voted as the Chair Pro Tem, will preside for the remainder of the meeting, and the selection of the chairperson will be agendized for the next meeting.
Okay, considering that I mean, it really is the only item of note on the agenda, and in the interest of, not turning this into another kind of thing that gets delayed for 2 months, I'm happy to withdraw my name and reconsider in terms, for Commissioner Avakian, so that we kind of move forward with the business of the commission rather than spending another 2 months waiting to get, Chairperson Bronstein's perspective, which I'm very, very confident, not to speak for her, but just knowing her, I'm confident that she would have similar thoughts to, most of us in terms of the position itself and the capability of everybody on this dais to serve in that position. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to withdraw my name, renominate Commissioner Avakian for chairperson of the commission.
So Commissioner Mirian, if you're withdrawing your name, then there would only be one nomination, and the nomination would be for Commissioner Avakian.
Excellent. Would we have to do another roll call considering that it was 2-2 at that time?
Yes.
Discussion having concluded, I will call roll on the selection of the chairperson. When called upon, please state the name of the commissioner for whom you are voting as chairperson. Commissioner Amirian?
Avakian.
Commissioner Avakian?
Myself, Avakian.
Commissioner Lester?
Commissioner Vagian.
Commissioner Ordubegian?
Amirian.
Commissioner Avakian has been selected to serve as chairperson of the Transportation and Parking Commission. Chair Avakian is the presiding officer for the remainder of the meeting, beginning with item 5, consent items.
Thank you. And thank you very much, Commissioner Amirian.
Or you don't have to thank me. I think everybody's capable of serving, and I just want to move forward with the business of the committee. Thank you, Chair.
So, next item.
Item 5 is consent items. There are no consent items on the agenda.
Okay, action item, next item, which is 6, it's an action item.
There are no action items on the agenda.
Next item, oral communications.
There's an item before oral communications. Chair
International
Avakian.
report, informational report. Okay, next item, informational report.
There are no informational reports on the agenda.
Now the other, next item, oral communication.
Discussion is limited to items not a part of the agenda. Each speaker is allowed 5 minutes. The commission may question the speaker, but there will be no debate or decision. There are no public comments this time.
Okay, next item, number 9, commission staff comments, updates.
I have a couple comments. First off, again, thank you to former Chair Bronstein for her service during my time on the commission since beginning of last year. I've watched her handle the meetings in a professional manner, and I appreciate her guidance and leadership throughout that time. And I'm also excited to see Chair Avakian fill those shoes very ably and continue with the business of the commission. I do also have some follow-up questions about some communications that we received from the public. And, you know, we did, following our last meeting, receive some communications from members of the public regarding, you know, the items that we looked at. I'm trying to understand what staff's process is when they, you know, receive emails that have either requests for, you know, certain intersections to be looked at, how those requests are handled internally, and whether those need to be agendized, or if staff considers the communications that are received in recommending any survey of an intersection or consideration for, you know, extra signage. What is the process that staff generally goes through when you receive those types of requests?
So whether we receive Commissioner, whether we receive a request via email, a phone call, someone comes to the counter, any form of request, we initially intake it. We do have a logging system, and then we evaluate the request or the concern. And based on that evaluation, we determine how we're going to escalate it. So it determines if a study is warranted, a field evaluation, and based on what's evaluated, then we propose potential, improvements if need be. And depending on the extent of the improvements, whether it's something that could be handled at a staff level or something that requires a more administrative approach, then that's something we may bring back before the commission before we ultimately go to the council. So it's really depending on the complexity of the request. Some of it, like I said, can be handled at the staff level, but if it requires an item that has to come before the TPC and then ultimately before the city council, that's basically the process that we take. But we intake everything that we do. Some stuff is just a response that we do an initial study and it doesn't warrant a stop sign request, a signal request, and we respond to the requester, and it ends there. But if it warrants further study or an actual proposed implementation, depending on what it is, we can then come back before the TPC or the city council.
In the case of the communications that we received, they were directed at the commission, and it, in my case, and I'm sure the other commissioners as well, I'm just guessing, there were individual, communications as well. Does staff receive communications that are not directed at the commission, that are, just simply somebody reaching out to staff regarding something that might be in the purview of Transportation Parking Commission?
That is correct.
And is there any mechanism to potentially report those in an informational manner, to the commission? Like, hey, we received, it doesn't even have to be every meeting, maybe quarterly. This quarter we received, X number of communications. We evaluated, a portion of them as, just a response and thanking the person for reaching out. And then we evaluated the next portion as something that staff can handle in this way. Is there any way we could potentially receive a report like that on a quarterly basis that would give us an idea of what types of communications and requests are coming in to staff?
So what I could do is we could take the comments from tonight, and we can agendize a discussion around that and what we at staff feel we can do to ultimately meet the objective. But we would agendize the item to talk about kind of how we track what what the intake of issues, concerns, or just comments, questions are received, and how we can potentially report that out. So we can bring back an item for whether it be for informational purposes or for seeking direction from the commission. I don't know if the city attorney has any if that's the, you believe that's the appropriate step we take to bring back that item before the commission?
It's an appropriate course of action as a general matter. Staff can provide an informational report to the commission, either in a general or in a specific context. If we're looking to formalize a process, the course of action that Director Hernandez had suggested is perfectly viable.
May I ask quick questions? I think this is regarding the last meeting, 40 Adams Hills. Is that what you're referring to?
The communications we received after that.
Afterwards. So basically, what I've received was an email from you that one of the residents has forwarded you an email, and then you forwarded that to every one of the commissioners with the person's phone number requesting more review regarding that pocket in Glendale. I ended up reaching out to them because there was a phone number, and since you were the one who forwarded the email to me, I contacted one of the residents, and then I found out that there was somebody else as well. So they both wanted to be in touch, and I told them that they need to go through the city protocols to ask for requests for whatever they need to. And then they called me back again, and then at that time I contacted, we got another email from you stating that I think you all received that email, right? Both those emails with the person's description of what they're requesting and what they're requiring and all of that stuff. Again, I responded, I said, I will be in touch with you. I've called them up. And I guess with some of the city staff, we had a meeting at that Pockets, because I wanted to educate myself, wanted to know exactly what is it that it's happening right there at that right pocket. So again, I saw the whole thing. City staff, city engineers saw the area as well. And then I said, okay, well, you're in good hands with the city staff, but I believe Sarkis and Pastor Casanova both were there. And they were able to, I can ask them to elaborate a little bit more, so we'll be more clear regarding these things. But I knew that they have to be going through the city protocols to be able to be heard. Okay. So I just tried to accommodate them as your email that you sent to us.
Understood. So we receive emails on a daily basis. But that one was specifically addressed to the commission. That's why it was forwarded to them. But there's other instances where commissioners are just copied, but it's directed to staff. The reason we forwarded that one specifically, it was because it was addressed to the commission. Okay. And I wanted to ensure that the commission received it. But if it was addressed to staff and you guys were copied on it, we don't send it to the entire commission.
So was that appropriate for us to be in touch with these people and find out exactly what the situation is?
That email was addressed to the commission and how the commission handles that.
All right.
Ultimately, as long as it's in accordance with the Brown Act in terms of how you meet and how you communicate and your findings, there's
Sure.
There's no.
May I ask the city staff? Just enlighten us a little bit to see exactly what is going on and what their decisions or basically opinions or suggestions are.
Commissioner Ortebagan, can I clarify whether you're asking for information regarding a specific traffic calming measure, or whether you're asking for a discussion of process?
No, for the traffic calming measures, because my fellow commissioners weren't present at that time, so I just want everybody to know exactly of what's going on, following up those emails from Mr. Hernandez.
You're asking for a status update?
Status update,
I
yes.
would recommend it be
Agenda
framed and limited in that way, just as a
Yes,
a status update.
understood.
Good evening, members of the commission, Chairperson Avakian, congratulations. So in response to your update, Commissioner Ortebagan, staff and I, Mr. Casanova and I met with Mr. Sheehan and Mr. Ackerman in the field. This is regarding the stop sign, the multi-way stop that was proposed at the intersection of Adams and Schofield. We met with we met with the residents, and you attended as well. And we went over a kind of a policy protocol procedures of what staff has done to date, what staff is looking to potentially recommend as outlined in that report. We also informed them that there was an appeal received for that commission action, and that appeal would eventually go to the city council at a later date when it was agendized by the city manager. We also explained staff's reasoning for standing behind the multi-way stop at Adams and Schofield. It was about a 2-hour meeting on a hot day. But I think after all was said and done, and we did notice a lot of traffic patterns, we did notice a lot of instances that could potentially be remediated with our proposed recommendation. The meeting came to a conclusion, and everybody was, I believe, content with what was discussed in the field.
I just want to mention, it's extremely important for our residents and our public to be heard. So I think I really want to appreciate and thank you for your time that you came to that meeting, and because they were extremely concerned. So you guys articulated the whole scenario very nice. I really want to thank you for that. And Pastor Casanova was same goes for you as well. It was 2 hours and it was really hot. So greatly appreciated. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And just to follow up, Chair, that's the type of update that I think, quarterly would be great, because in that particular case, Commissioner Odubegian happened to be there, at that meeting. And I think it would be great for the commission to receive status updates of these types of communications. And I think it's good for the department as well, because what it shows the rest of the community is our commitment to transparency, our commitment to making sure that the constituents and the stakeholders in the city are heard, and that their concerns are taken seriously, and there's a process by which they're evaluated and followed. So even if, in this case, it was a letter to a commissioner, our commission, and one commissioner showed up, in the future, if there's a communication to staff, it would be great for us to have some sort of update and discuss that process as a commission. So if we can get that on the agenda and discuss that, I think, an update like that quarterly would be a great thing.
Thank you. Completely agree with Commissioner Amirian's comments. I have one question though. During the previous meeting, when the staff recommendation was not passed by commissioners, so after that whole thing happened, and Commissioner Ordobegian went and spoke with the residents. So when Sarkis mentioned that you're going to submit an appeal, does that mean we're taking into consideration all the factors, the fact that the one motion wasn't passed, and then also there are other recommendations made on the spot by Commissioner Ordobegian, and then maybe other options were brought up that can be more beneficial than whatever original recommendation by city staff was that did not pass? I'm just trying to make it clear.
Okay, Chairperson, as mentioned by our city engineer, there was an appeal was filed, so that would go before the city council. As part of the appeal, staff intends to provide the details behind the rationale of why it was appealed and a little summary of what transpired at the commission meeting last month. So the city council will have that information, and it's stated the rationale as to why it was appealed in the appeal. So that's what will be presented to the city council.
So that appeal and the recommendation to the city council is exactly the same that was not passed here, or that includes the actions, whatever we're taking after when Commissioner Ordobegian went to the site and discussed more opportunities?
So it would be as recommended to the commission. So the appeal is appealing the decision, which was a 2-2 stalemate, which didn't subsequently pass the item. So the item will be presented to the city council as presented to the commission, and if at that point it's approved, then we can take it into effect. And if it's not approved, then we would come back to the drawing board.
I see. Okay.
May I just ask, so the residents had appealed the decision that the commissioner made. So it's going to go back to the city council, correct? And they're gonna go with the original project, which it was on Schofield, basically.
So that's correct. The recommendation will be for Adams and Schofield as presented to the commission.
So I just want to add to what Commissioner Avakian just added. So the discussion that we had, and with the others, community members, would that be part of that appeal as well, or no?
That's a good question. That's something I'll have our city attorney opine on.
Yeah, because my concern is that if the resident had reached out to you, they went through the protocol, and they made sure that they were understood and they were heard, I think that should be part of that appeal as well. So if the appeal goes in front of the city council, that part should be also included in there, saying that these things were discussed.
Commissioner
not?
Ortega, to answer your question, the appeal is based upon the record of the commission.
Mm-hmm.
So the materials that were submitted, the recording of the meeting, form the record of the commission that is now up on appeal to the city council, that is pending appeal to the city council. Information outside of the record
Would not be
is not part of the basis for the appeal. With that said, the standard of review, if you will, the standard by which the city council will consider the appeal is a de novo review. It's basically they're going to start from scratch. It's a rehearing. There's no deference to the decision of the Transportation and Parking Commission.
Yeah, my concern here is that, for example, we're trying to give everybody a Snickers bar, not knowing that people have fatal allergy to nuts, and they just say, hey, listen, this is really, could have a negative impact on me. And we're just going to say, get over it, forget about it. We have made our decisions, and this is what it is. I think after going through all these things and find out, I think city staff, when you go in front of the city council, they should be able to say that there might be another alternative as well that might work out even for the people who appeal the original project. So I'm just saying that everybody needs to be heard. It just cannot be that you're just saying that this is it, or maybe we can come up with Mars bars that there are no nuts in it, So I don't know what to tell you, but I think that if there's an appeal, I know what the process is, I understand it, but I think at that point, I want to know if the city engineer would be able to say that, we looked at this, you're going from the scratch, you're going to say, we looked at this, we understood exactly what it is, but there are other alternatives that could be discussed with all the stakeholders. Is that something that is possible through the appeal or not?
Is it possible for the city engineer or for staff to provide a verbal
Yes.
report that accompanies the record? Yes, of course, it's possible for
Okay,
that.
that
And-
answers the
And
question.
under the Brown Act, the public is entitled to submit both written and verbal commentary to the council as it takes up these matters.
I understand. I always say different thoughts are good for me. So that's what I attended. I wanted to know if there's any other alternative. If the alternative was the original plan, then I would have been all for it. But the fact of the matter is that when I found out that there are some other alternatives, there are things that could be done to make people's life a little easier, that might not be a bad idea to look into it. And having said that, I want to, I've asked a few months back about agendizing other measures for traffic calming measures as far as like lights. We had another meeting with some other city staff about lights and signage and, crosswalks that they're just not protected. And we never talk about those things. So I want to know, how can we put this on our agenda so we can actually comment, or at least be able to listen to our city staff and engineers and people who are qualified to give us opinions and say that if you do this, let's say if this crosswalk can have like lighted, undergrounds or overhead lightings or things like that, our people who come visit our town or people who live there could be more safe, and, things that, could have other, implementations, and we can actually implement something that would be beneficial. Is this something we can add to our agenda so we can discuss?
If I may,
Please.
Commissioner Ortega, for a point of clarity, based on what I said about meeting with the residents at on Adams Street, that we were contacted by Mr. Sheehan on multiple occasions before the Transportation and Parking Commission item, before the item was appealed or being considered for appeal. And so staff had agreed to meet with him in the field to further look at other concerns that he had. His main concern obviously was a stop sign at Adams and Cornell, and we wanted to meet with him to kind of walk him through the procedure on why or why not and what other options and alternatives there are. That also speaks to Commissioner Amirian's request about when people contact the city, how we kind of embark on that. And so sometimes, we go to the field and we meet with the constituents to discuss their concerns, and Commissioner Ordubekian happened to be there as well. So that's just a point of clarity. It had nothing to do with the appeal or not the appeal. I just wanted to clarify that.
And just a follow-up question. I believe during the meeting that the motion was not passed, I personally asked if it is possible to have city staff come back with alternative recommendations. So I'm just trying to understand the way the process is. So when such a request is made, the city staff can just basically not do that, but rather appeal to the city council and not come back with recommendations as asked by the commission?
The legal answer to your question, Chair Avagian, is that an appeal divests the commission with jurisdiction to take action on the matter. So at this juncture, the Transportation and Parking Commission does not have jurisdiction to take action on traffic calming measures at Adams and Schofield by virtue of the appeal. So I don't want to presume to speak for Director Hernandez or other staff, but in light of the appeal, the commission cannot take action on that item at this juncture. So staff can provide you information as they are doing now, but that is the extent to which the commission can engage on this issue at this point.
I see. So basically, instead of coming back with more recommendations, there is another route that was taken to go with the city council with an appeal with the same recommendation. So, okay. Got it. Okay. Thank you very much. I have actually, anyone else? I actually had a question that kind of aligns with Commissioner Ordubekian's previous questions regarding agendizing items that we would like to discuss. I wanted to know another aspect. For example, let's say we are noticing something ourselves or we're getting complaints and stuff. How do we put that on the agenda to be discussed? Because as mentioned by you earlier, we cannot discuss together if something's off of the agenda. So for example, I would really like to agendize and discuss the Brand Boulevard pilot project that we had. I want to know how long as a pilot project has been investigated, what's the status, how is it going to be proceeded later, anything is going to be changed, the complaints that we have received, what is the feedback from the community, so all these things. And I don't know how to do that. What is the process of doing it?
I think you just did, Chair.
Thank you. Okay.
I agree with Commissioner Marion.
Okay. Then if we can do that, I would truly appreciate it and have a report on Brand Bike Lane pilot project and understand the status and the feedback and how is it going to be continued.
Right, and for context, this is a request for information. It's not an action item. You're requesting that staff
Yes.
come back to provide you information.
Yes.
Right. One of the things I was going to add is, these pilot programs happened. I've been around for 30 some odd years, and I've been involved in so many of these. One of them was a diagonal crosswalk that wasn't discussed, and it was implemented in the city of Glendale, although the residents weren't really for it. And they're saying that it will create more traffic. The idea was to calm traffic, but it just did the opposite. It created more traffic, cars went on the other streets and everything else. I think what she was asking was, if it's a pilot program, is there a duration, is there a time frame for that pilot program? Because that pilot program was imposed on that area for almost a year. And then after spending all the money, putting the light signs and everything else, after all the complaints, it was removed. So I don't understand why, when the community says no, and when the community says this is, it's really, cumbersome, and, is there a way that pilot program, is there a time frame of a year for it? Or if you hear enough complaints, can you look at it earlier? Could it be removed, or is it a permanent thing? What is the protocol for that?
Commissioner Ortobedian, although I think you're addressing that question to me, I think that's a question more appropriately answered by the department.
Thank you.
So I will say that the council has provided directions to staff to bring that item before them. So we're happy to bring it in our next regularly scheduled meeting, which is October, but this might go before the city council before then. So I'm just letting you guys know, if that's still a direction, we can just recap the city council's actions or like update. But we intend to bring this before the city council before the next regularly scheduled TPC meeting.
I see.
Do you have a general time frame for pilot programs, usually when it gets implemented in City of Glendale?
On each pilot program, it varies, but we would have to determine the extent of what it is and what we need to do within that time period. But they can vary. I mean, and we'll just use North Brand, for example. In our staff report, we indicated it's 6 to 12 months.
Okay, well, yeah, if we can bring it to TPC, if that goes, to the city council, if before that we have a meeting, TPC meeting, if we can have that in our agenda as well and discuss it, because during the city council, I would love to attend and hear, but we may not be able to ask questions, so
I think it will be only informational for us. Am I correct?
Yeah, so just to make sure that the direction is clear, so we will bring an informational item back before the commission at the next regularly scheduled meeting, which is in October. But it will more than likely provide a lot of context relative to what the council decides. But if you guys want to open it up to additional questions from information, we're happy to do so.
Okay, thank you. And then one more question. Again, this is a follow-up question to Commissioner Ortobedian. The email, actually, Commissioner Amirian, the email communication that we received, the city staff forwards it to us. And like, for example, myself, I don't kind of feel comfortable responding to the email that received from my personal email. And I've brought this up a couple of times. I don't understand why aren't we given a city official email address to be able to communicate. And I never got a response to that. I know formerly commissioners have been given an email address, so I would like to address this issue and understand if we can actually somehow figure this out and get a professional email address to be able to communicate.
Understood. Obviously, that's a city policy. I'm relatively new to the city, so we can research what that decision is. I'm not sure who you communicated with that in the past, but nonetheless, we'll take that action. And for information, we can, if it's a policy-based decision, I can email the commission. And just to be clear, we're not in the instance where the commission was emailed. We forwarded just directly to the commission and did not include the sender. We're just letting you know that it was just directly for the commission from staff because it was addressed to the commission.
Totally understand, but in order to reply to the person, instead of, let's say, calling, there was a phone number I know, but I would have been feeling more comfortable to reply to the email and talk to for example, the resident through email communication, but I didn't do it because I didn't want to use my own personal email address.
So what, Chairperson, what I can do is I can take that action and follow up with the administration to see what our city policy is on relative to issuing emails to the commissioners.
And if I may, would the chair be able, if she feels uncomfortable, be able to respond and utilize staff as the kind of the buffer?
procedure, I don't see an issue with that. I mean, we could just have a conversation offline in terms of what you're trying to convey, and then we can discuss it. Obviously, from an efficiency standpoint, that is a challenge, but it's not to say that it can't be done. But obviously, having to play like just messenger isn't a very efficient process. But it's not to say that it can't be done. But we can have a conversation offline, and if it's just for information gathering. But if we're having to like pass every back and forth reply, that might present a challenge. But if it's just to seek clarification, we can look at that process.
I also imagine that giving every commissioner a city email probably gives our city attorney's office a huge headache in terms of,
They used to
yeah,
before.
in terms of how everything is handled and what that email is used for and the communications that come from that. So I imagine that's probably why, I'm guessing that's probably why there are no, city email addresses for commissioners. But in the year that I've been here, and then in the 20 years that I've been a commissioner, I've probably received, less than 10, direct communications. And so, I feel comfortable reaching out, but if you don't, I'm sure in those limited cases, staff would be willing to forward your response.
And anyway, I would appreciate if we can explore the options, because previously I know the emails has been given to the commissioner, so I honestly don't understand why would it be an issue even from a legal perspective. So thank you very much. Anyone else that has a comment or a question?
I'll just add, I agree with Commissioner Amirian. It's been fairly rare to get large amounts of mail. This item that you were asking questions about seemed to have a little more activity. And so if there were very few occasions, it does seem efficient to pass, say, a comment back to the city if it was just once in a while, Not to play down the idea of email addresses, but in terms of efficiency, I can actually see Commissioner Mirian's point on that.
I just want to add one thing. I completely agree with you on this. And, I got so many emails, and for me to check every single one of them is just extremely difficult throughout because I'm volunteering in different places and I have my business and so many other things. So I sometimes forget. And one of the reasons I use my business email for the commission, because I do check it on a daily basis. So when I do get it, I know exactly what's going on. So I don't miss any of the meetings, any of the communications and all that stuff. But I completely understand your concern. I think, honestly, if you do not want to have that particular email, your personal email, to be shared, it's very easy to set up if they're not willing to give you a city official things, you can just make one and then try to,
Doesn't look
I know,
professional.
I
So.
understand, yeah. But,
Okay, let's
just a suggestion.
see what the options are. Okay, as far as if no one else has comments, I would like to just thank you again for the appointment and for the opportunity, and looking forward to continuing serving the community and the commission. Once again, thank you to former Chairperson Bonston for an amazing year. I think we had a very productive year, and I'm looking forward to continuing what we have started, and thank you to her for fairly serving as a chairperson of the commission. That's it for my comments, and we'll move to the next one, right? Adjournment.
The next item is adjournment.
Do I need a motion and a second to do so?
Move
Okay.
to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I-
Moved by Commissioner Amirian and seconded by Commissioner Ordobegian to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.